going on, everybody? Today I'm going to tear into this bad boy and I'm going to replace a lot of rubber lines like those guys back there that run up under the intake, and this guy, all those different fuel lines that can leak and split. I mainly use this truck for going to the beach and just hauling stuff around town, going to Home Depot, stuff like that. But rubber stuff's pretty cheap. Rubber lines, and then when they split, they can be very expensive. They can cause fires and all kinds of other stuff. This thing right here is a tray that you can get from Home Depot or Lowe's or any of those big box stores, and I think it's designed for masons when they mix up their whatever you call the stuff that goes between the bricks, the concrete or whatever. But it works real good for putting up on your truck when you're about to take a bunch of random stuff that's gonna drop fluid all over the ground, because it's big and it can catch a majority of that stuff. You're still gonna get your floor dirty a little bit because it's gonna hit a cross member or something and run down and over. But these things are like 10 to 15 bucks and they're super handy. That sun would come in here and do to me like this. All right, we got valve cover gaskets leaking too. All right, we'll pop this intake off so I can access everything. Got to take this loose and all these bolts loose, like this guy and these guys. Got to get this bracket off. Man, I'm getting killed this morning already. Look at this shadow, just the way the sun's coming in. Let me see if I can block this out. All right. There we go. Got that hose off. There was a ground wire that hooked up right here. This guy. Well. And a friend of his is in that harness right there that has retracted. But it's not no big deal. It happens at times. But I gotta repair that wire and get it run back out. And put a new terminal end on the end of it. And also, this thing right here is called a CDR valve. And what it does is relieve crankcase pressure. And when it goes bad, it makes everything oil leak. So if you've got one of these engines and it's got a bunch of oil leaks on it, you might want to replace this thing right here. You know what? Matter of fact, yep, bye. That's where you go, over there. I don't need you no more. You just got replaced. It's about to come off. One thing I would like to denote is that it's best when you're doing this to find a place to put all your nuts and bolts. You can put all your nuts right, and I use this my breather tray. I just got it up here nice. See, that keeps it away from the intake over here, because I'm about to show you something. Because you don't want nuts like these to fall in your intake. Like these.
Got him!
Intake's off, and you see that bolt right there, the one that holds the clamp for the vacuum pump. You have to loosen it. You gotta take it out. You can rotate this guy. I rotate him around this way to get that last bolt out right there, the one that holds down the intake. Now at this point, I'm gonna be real careful, because at your earliest convenience, when you get this thing apart, you need to cram stuff in these holes right here, rags or whatever, to keep stuff from falling in there. Because I've got leaves and pine straw, and a couple squirrels decided to live in here at one point. Anytime you take this stuff off, you want to make sure nothing gets in there, because if something does, you're gonna have a bad time. There ain't no way about it. It's just gonna happen. You can see right here too, here's the intake on the ground. All the oil that was coming out, that's from that CDR valve was bad. All that. But I ain't gonna have to do a lot of cleaning on this intake, which is good, because it looks like the gasket come off in one place. it's been ragged. Got rags in all the holes. I've cleaned up. I still got to do some cleaning. Still got a couple leaves. I may get the shop back out here, but the main thing is, lift your truck, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Here you go. So these fuel lines, they got to come off. The high pressure lines off the pump, they got to come off to get the valve covers off. This could be intimidating to somebody who's never done it. You got to find out a way to mark them or something so that it'll go back on right. If you've got to bend these lines too much, then it's not in the right spot. But the easiest thing that I found to do, if you're unsure, is just take a picture of it with your phone and take a bunch of pictures with your phone. If you do that, then you can just look right at your phone if there's any question in your mind, and you'll say, oh, well, that's the way it was set up. And if it was done right, and you know, if it was running okay the first time, then obviously it was okay. So you can just reference that picture and put it back right like it went. So actually, I've done this before, and I'm decently confident. I've done this several times, but I'm gonna take a picture anyway. Here's a little trick for everybody. So if you've got one that's stuck, you can always take you see where I split it right there? Take your box cutter like this guy right here. Just run you a nice little thing and it'll pop right off. Now this hose appears to be 1/4 inch and I don't have any, so I'm gonna have to run to the store. The other hose right here appears to be 3/8. And I have some of that, but I gotta get some different clamps, because don't use these clamps. I'll show you that later on. On a fuel line, don't use these clamps. These are what I inherited when I bought this truck years ago, and I just never replaced them. But this is for like coolant, in my opinion. But if you're somebody who don't have a whole lot of experience on working on stuff like this, and you don't know fuel lines, if you just can't look at them or any kind of line, just take it with you and just match it up. Alright guys, back at it. Back from the store. I got fuel lines on the trash can right there. And clamps. Now, I want to take all these hard lines off. I want to add too, I'm struggling real bad to film this with the sun coming in certain ways and all this other stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it off, and then I'll just get back with you. How about that? All right, got a valve cover off. Another thing, 6.2 diesels, even though they list they have a listing at the parts houses for valve cover gaskets, do not put valve cover gaskets on it. This one had valve cover gaskets on. I don't throw it in the trash, but look at there. It's like no wonder it was leaking. So now I'm gonna clean all that stuff off. You don't use valve cover gaskets, you just use a well-applied bead of silicone around it. Make sure everything's nice and clean, and it'll be sweet. Update time. Look at there. Tell you what, a wire brush on a whiz wheel will make one look pretty. And that's what you want. Go get you one of them. Got the other side off. Now look at this. You see that gasket? No wonder it was leaking. You can see right where it mushed right there. But it mushed out from under. That's alright, we're gonna get it fixed up. Alright, that's where we're at. That valve cover is on and done. I've removed the rags and I put the intake gaskets on. Now I'm going to try to fight these lines back on, and maybe I can get this thing put together enough we can do some fuel priming today. So I have once again run out of daylight. I got it most of the way put back together. My flashlight's dead. I can't even hardly show you what's going on. So we're just gonna pick up on this later. It's a new day and I'm back out here hard at it. And as you can see, I got all the fuel lines hooked back up, all the hard lines, high pressure lines. Got some nice new fuel lines with new clamps. These are the style clamps I recommend because it gets a good seal. See how that thing works? They're called fuel injection clamps, but they definitely seal a lot better. All right, here's the moment of truth. We're gonna change that guy now. You see I got everything tightened up, everything bolted down, fuel lines run. All right, these old box filters are pretty easy to do. Pop that, and it slides right off, and it makes a big mess. So make sure you got a pan on the ground. There we go. Now, you can see what it looks like now. One problem these things have over time is that these little O-rings here will get hard and they'll start leaking. That's what a lot of that was. So you need to replace these fairly regularly. Now, eventually, I'm going to get a screw-on filter and I'm going to convert this thing. But for the time being, I'm just going to put a new one of these on here. You just slide it on like so. Huh? And snap it back. Well, there we go. Then you're gonna get you a big screwdriver and you're gonna loosen that right there. Then you're gonna come over here to your pump and you're gonna take this wire right here. It's pink. Well, this is mostly black, but the pink wire, you're gonna remove it and put it somewhere where it won't ground out. Like that. That'll be good. Now we can sit inside the cab and roll the motor over, and when you see fuel coming out and no air, then that filter is done. But first you got to hook the batteries back up. All right, let's try this again. So that took a little while, so make sure you got good batteries. I had to call in reinforcements here. Alright, so now that this guy's bled, it's time to bleed the high side. Now, when I put these on, I tighten all these, you go ahead and tighten them because you can't get back to them. The way you bleed the air out of these is I left these guys hand tight. So what I'm going to do is plug my little pink wire right here back in onto the pump, and I'm going to turn it over until I get a little bit of fuel coming out right there on all of them. Then I'll come back and snug them, and then we'll light her off. And I took the studs out of the intake. The reason why I did that is just in case you ever have a runaway with one of these, you can throw something on it. In this case, I got this. This works, a 5-gallon bucket lid. You can slam it on there and push it down with your hands, and if the thing was trying to run away with you, you could stall it right out. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. There's a little bit of fuel coming out right there. It's coming out on that one too. Just want to look for very little. I don't think the camera's picking it up real good. So I'm going to tighten all these guys up, and then we're going to light it off and see what happens. Gotten all the air out of the fuel system and it's running great, as you can see. Now I'm going to drive it and check the fuel lines at the injectors for leaks. If anything in this video helps you on your beater in your driveway, consider subscribing and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.